When I was in West Africa in the Ivory Coast, they didn't have very many schools. I had to go to a school called Jean Mermoz. And Jean Mermoz was a private school where we had to wear uniforms. It was K through 12, and it was from early morning until 5:30 at night. And we wore uniforms, and we had a siesta. We had a 7-course meal for lunch. And Debbie went, and I went, and Kathy went. And there's just several things I remember. The only words in French that I knew before I went to school that first day, my dad taught me, was "Je suis américain." I am an American. And so that very first day I went to school, and the principal came blowing his whistle. He had a limp, and he kept blowing his whistle and running out after me, rambling off in French, and I just had no idea what he was saying to me, and I kept saying, "Je suis américain, je suis américain." Well, come to find out, I wasn't allowed to walk on the grass, and I had to stay on the sidewalk, and I was just so scared of this guy coming chasing after me. And then there's several things I remember. I remember being in the classroom, and I was always so much taller and bigger than any of the French kids there, and I always felt like they were making fun of me. And then someone came into the classroom, and they all stood up at attention by their desks immediately, and I was the only one sitting down. And so I slithered out of my chair and stood up, and I thought, okay, I've got this figured out. So the next time someone came in, I wanted to be the first person to be standing up. Well, lo and behold, I was the only one standing up, because he was the janitor, and you don't stand up for the janitor, you only stand up for the principal and people like that. And so then they all laughed at me again, because I was the only one standing up. And I remember that the second thing I learned in French besides "Je suis américain" was "Repêchez votre chose." Now, that's the strangest thing for anyone to remember as a second sentence to learn in a foreign language. I had no idea what it meant, but all I know is when the teacher would say "Repêchez votre chose," that meant that people would start cleaning up their stuff, and we'd get ready to go, and we could leave school. And I thought it probably meant school's over. Well, what it really means is gather your things. But I learned that that must be how babies learn a language. You just say something over and over again, and they might not know, "Do you want a cookie?" But if they hear, "Do you want a cookie?" they know that mommy hands you something to eat. So I learned "Repêchez votre chose." It was the best words in my ears I could hear every day, because I'd been there from 7:30 to 5:30 all day long with language that I didn't even understand, and I would hear "Repêchez votre chose." And I remember that our class was really not a very good class, because we would have to go during recess, and we wouldn't get to go play a lot of times. We would have to put our one hand behind our back, holding the other arm, and walk around and around the playground. Everybody else got to play, and I never did know what we did wrong, because I didn't understand French, but we did something wrong. And that is the only time that I cheated in school. Is this on record?
Yes.
Because the teacher felt sorry for me, and we would have dictée, that's dictation, and she would say a paragraph, and they would have to write out the paragraph. Well, she would give me the paragraph the night before so that I could practice it. Well, I had it all figured out, so what I would do is write the whole paragraph out perfectly, and then we had the desks that, the lid goes up, so I would have my perfect dictée on a piece of paper in the desk. And so then when she would be up there, reciting the paragraph, and you had to write it out, I had no idea how to write it out. I didn't understand what she was saying. I didn't know how to spell French. I didn't know anything. But I knew then all I had to do was just slip the paper, my paper that I had miserable writing, into the desk and pull out the one that was perfect. So I did get perfect on my dictées because I cheated.
The end.